So about 3 years ago, I was able to meet someone who is incredibly powerful and influential. It was pretty much the toppiest executive that I could meet at my job. And I'm like, okay, has a degree of fame going on. Name is supposed to be like well known and stuff. And I remember that we were being encouraged to not hide. And I'm like, I'm going to be indifferent about this person's visit. If I see this person, I will greet, I will acknowledge them. If they come through my line, I'm going to treat them just like any other regular customer. I'm not going to go out of my way to try to bond with someone. If I'm going to bond with someone, I like for it to happen naturally. As my colleague, if you want me to look at him that way, could come over and help me get my job done, and we can start a bonding opportunity from there. But just because I know profile, role, and title and stuff doesn't mean that I'm going to like put myself out there. You know, I'm antisocial, so it doesn't change no matter who it is. Editing exam here, I forgot to share this detail. There was this one lady, this one customer, who was in the vicinity when this individual was doing their walk. And somebody made the mistake of telling this lady, just random average person customer, that this individual was present. And her demeanor, her reaction completely changed, and it was over the top. She went over to this individual and was like, "Oh my gosh, I have heard of you. You have an amazing place, an amazing group of people who work here, and this is such a cool company, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, why? You had literally walked past this person. You weren't different in any way. But all of a sudden, someone revealed to you that this individual is that individual, and then all of a sudden you changed. Why? You didn't even recognize this person. Why do you have to be so extra and fake? That's the part that I don't get about people who meet celebrities. Sometimes you don't even realize who it is. And when you realize who it is, it's like your demeanor has to change. And I don't get it. Why? Why? Never in my life, when I have met someone with a degree of fame, have I ever like softened up or just changed myself. I was just like, oh, all right, how's it going? Have a good one. Or if it was a wrestler, I'm like, all right, how was the match? I think you performed well. Or next time I would like to see this and that. Something like that, you know, something normal. But to all of a sudden be like overly celebratory, I can't find the word I'm looking for, but like overly praising someone and being like, I'm not that kind of person. And because I'm not, I want to understand the people who are like that. Like, what is it that triggers that sudden euphoria? Is that a genuine, authentic reaction? Or is it because some kind of celebrity worship switch turns on? And the reason I question that is because my life did not change at all the day that I met that clown. So for you, when you take a selfie, for instance, with someone who's famous and you want that picture so bad, how did your life change after that experience? And I'm guessing that's why people try to accuse me of having like, what is it, autism or mental problems or something, because the stuff that regularly, I guess, stimulates people doesn't exist for me, it doesn't happen with me. I'm like, no, I'm just normal. But I'm not going to overly amplify my hype, a hype that I don't feel. See what I mean? I think that I have experienced more hype from a family member arriving at my home and visiting me than any freaking stranger. You know, these celebrities, these people are fucking strangers It is hard for a stranger to impress me. But the way that a stranger could impress me, if it were relevant, would be that they do something to keep me safe. Or say I'm about to fall off a bridge or something and you happen to save me and catch me, or you save my life. That's what it takes. Something extreme, something like that. My intention expressing this is not to criticize the people who are like that. It's more of, I wonder why you are like that, because there are things that I guess my emotions do not come out the same way that it does with you. You, as someone who's easily impressed and you like to take on a praising role, what is that like? How does it feel for you to over celebrate someone? Because that's something that I know I'm not going to do and I have never done. I hope that makes sense. That's where I'm getting at with all this. So if I became that celebrity, that famous person, and people started doing that to me, I'm gonna be weirded out. And if it's someone who happened to know me in my social circle, but we weren't tight, I'll be like, okay, where was this excitement and praise and lit feeling when I was normal, when I was average, before I became this phenomenon? You know, that's what I'm saying. Even if I knew someone in my social circle and they achieved something like that, I'm gonna be like, okay, well, you're gonna draw a lot of attention to yourself. So I think that I'm going to kind of like be more low profile and I may need to avoid you a little bit. It's possible that I would begin rejecting this person a little bit because I know the risks associated with that. I know what that brings. And I feel bad for my famous friend here because I don't think that your career should end a friendship. But I'm just saying that for me, it would be hard to exist in a situation like that. And I know how to take myself out of the picture. I could meet Amy Lee of Evanescence and I'm still going to treat her like what she is to me, a stranger. I may know about her discography, I may know the lyrics to her song, I may know her birthday and where she was born, incidentally from information that she has shared in interviews and I just so happen to retain. But I'm not going to treat her like we're best friends, no matter how much of a musical influence she is for me and how much musically she means to me, because I study her piano style. Back to this executive. Because I had that experience and I was able to prove that my demeanor did not change. I wasn't trying to put myself out there or be extra with this person or whatever. I remember that when I greeted this person, they were like, what is your name and how long have you been working here? Oh, okay, cool. And then they said what their name is. And I didn't act like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I know, don't worry, I've known you. Like, I didn't act like that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, nice to meet you. And, you know, just maintained my cordial protocol. The other part to the conversation was that this person asked, all right, so at least are you having fun at work? And I'm like, yeah, I like what I'm doing. I like the job itself. I find it fun. And it's interesting he said that because I genuinely have liked my job. Now I want to present that, but in a different way. Because I wonder if this has happened to anybody who has grown up with or gone to school with someone who ended up becoming insanely famous or something. How would people, whoever mistreated me in the past or made me feel bad in any capacity, or say I was bullied by them, how would they feel or act if I became famous, respectable, or powerful? And let's say that for some reason I become one of those people's favorite musician. Would you treat me differently? Like, I get it when you get out of school, for example, it's a new chapter. Years can go by, decades can go by. And you, of course, shouldn't hold grudges of whatever happened during your school experience. But there are some people who tend to not change very much. They tend to retain some of those bullying tendencies, some of those unkind tendencies. So if all of a sudden someone who you bullied became someone significant and high profile, would that change you, or would you continue to be the asshole or the dick that you were at the time? And I'm just curious because I like to understand human psychology, given that I have evaluated myself a lot. That's how I have established peace with my somewhat difficult past. And now that's one of those things that I wonder about. I'm like, the people who just mistreated me and made me feel some type of way, what would happen? How would they change? Would they change if my status changed? And I would find that annoying if they changed the narrative a little bit and began saying like, yeah, I remember her from school. We went to school together. Please say that you were a bitch to me. Be clear about it and say that I used to not take it well and that I used to dress all lame and you used to bully me for that. Things like that. I just like it when people are honest and from the get-go you tell me where you came from. Like, oh yeah, I used to be a fucking drug addict, but I got over it. And I'm like, okay, I like knowing what your vulnerabilities were because that's the way that I can pave the way to establishing a meaningful connection with you. I'm not telling you, tell me everything about yourself, everything sensitive about yourself. But if you're hoping to establish a meaningful connection with me, which is really the only way I open up to people in the first place, and that's a good way to start. Tell me what is something that you did or you went through that you're not proud of and how you got over it and why. I wonder about that, and thankfully that's never gonna happen to me, but I wonder about that. Like if I became this insanely powerful person or known for a talent like music or acting, how would people around me change? Because when you become a manager at any job, really, your dynamic with how you interact with others has to change. So what would it be like for the ultimate form of a dynamic change to take place? Rising to fame and having a lot of power, prestige, stuff like that. So hey guys, let me know your thoughts. Give me your best, wildest guess. Or maybe you yourself have a story of your own to tell. Did you ever know somebody who became something? What is that like? Because I'm trying to imagine it, but it's hard for me. There was not a single motherfucker ever coming to this spot until I chose this spot. I'm telling you, this place is always deserted, especially on the weekends. But here we have a clown. But anyway, I'm not gonna let them bother me.